Welcome back. So we are almost through the month. We are at day 30, and in usual fashion, we are going to self-assess. I literally do this at the end of every single week. I do this at the end of every single day. I am not, as I shared on day one, you don't need to be so basic to only review your goals and care about your goals on January 1st of every year, because it's not a fun way to live. And it's very disappointing to get to December 31st and recognize that you have not come anywhere near your goals because you never assessed along the way of how much you were moving towards the goals that you originally wanted. So what I would love for you to do is, if you've kept a notebook, go back to that first day. This is going to be emotional probably for you. Go back to that first day. Go back to the notes that you wrote on your paper, the goals and the dreams that you have for yourself. Go back to your top 10 goals, to the things that you wanted to make happen this month. And no matter how difficult it might be, it might make you very, very happy. It might make you a bit disappointed. It might make you a little bit fiery and a little bit spicy. How do you feel looking at it compared to where you are now compared to where you were then? How do you feel looking at it? Do you feel proud of yourself? Do you feel like you moved the needle? Now, disclaimer, if you are a type A, bad A mother, you will probably never be happy with how much you moved the needle. So don't be too hard on yourself. But if you can see the progress, that's something to celebrate. But if you're liking the progress, but you're like, I could have done more, congratulations, you're also a type A. But that's good. That's a good zest, because that'll get you primed and prepped for the next month to be able to, like we talked about yesterday, immerse yourself and go ham. Just make it freaking happen. But it's so powerful to look at the things that you originally wanted at the beginning of the month, or even you could scale it down to the beginning of the week or the beginning of the day, and how much you actually got done, and just be hyper sensitive, not critical, not, you don't beat yourself up, but just being someone that's hyper self-aware of, this is what I made happen today, or this is the lack of what I made happen today, and this is what I will do to change it tomorrow. And that's how you don't become that person on December 31st every single year being like, well, maybe next year will be better. Yeah, January 1st will be my year. And that's, going forward into that next year, that's going to work for me. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. And it was not going to work because you're always pushing back the inevitable of hopefully hitting your goal, but you're just delaying that progress over and over and over again. And you're making that progress so much harder on yourself. So you now know better than anybody what it's like to feel that progress and to feel that momentum, and to be able to self-assess is the thing that will drive you forward. So looking at those 10 goals, can you write on a scale of 1 to 10 for each of them, and going through them, what did you move the needle on? Maybe it's one that you're like, whoa, like I can just cross that off my goals list. Like maybe your goal this month was to lose 5 pounds, and you freaking did it. You blew that out of the water. Maybe it was to reconnect with your spouse, or maybe it was to, build a team and start building a side hustle. Maybe it was to buy that website and start the blog, and you did that. Either cross stuff off, give yourself a 10 out of 10 if you crushed it, but how do you feel in terms of the progress towards those goals? Just a scale of 1 to 10, and be super honest with yourself and leave room for growth. That's one thing I always tell my team. If you're that person that you're like, I get 10 out of 10 on everything, that's a boring life, bro, because you're not leaving much room for improvement. But if that's the game you want to play, you have at it. But I don't think that you're that type of person. So leave some room for growth. Now, when you're done assessing your top 10, you'll have a score when you add them all up in usual fashion out of 100. And my goal for you is that over time, yes, you'll have some days where that score is lower, but you basically, what you're doing is you're creating a standard for yourself. You're creating that score that you now know that you don't want to dip below whatever it might be, 70%, 80%. In time, it could be 85, 90%, where you want to know that you are progressing to a certain level, that it's not worth working on something that's not going to progress. Like if I'm going to hustle today, I am going to work and I'm going to progress. That's where you become a hyper effective person, where you're not going to do the fluff and the minutia anymore. You actually do the needle moving stuff, and you become aware of it. So you've now set a standard, and a standard is the best thing that you could ever have. Having a crappy standard is the worst place to ever be in your life, because when you have crappy standards, you have crappy execution and crappy outcomes. When you have high standards, that's how you elevate your life. That's literally how you hit higher goals than you ever thought possible. And when you start having that standard of that percentage, whatever it might be out of 100, that you know that when you add up those 10 goals and how much you've progressed on those goals, 10 out of 10, what does that look like? Are you at 60%? Like, what's your own standard that you've now set? Because you've self-assessed a couple times there and you have an idea of, I don't like dipping below that number. You know. So what's your standard? And how much have your standards grown, by the way, over the past 30 days? What does that look like? And over the past 30 days, where can you say that you could improve? Just being that self-aware person, where can you say that you could stand to improve? And where could you say that you have grown, that you've discovered things about yourself that you had no idea were like super badass, and that you could double down on, that things that are working for you, that you're like, yeah, I could do this some more. What are they? And note them down. That's today's work. I hope you feel the progress, because I can feel it through here, and I hope that you're excited, and I will see you tomorrow for our last day. Bye, dude.